much for joining me on a date with Ashley D. Today, I have the famous, award winning author, actor, and entrepreneur, Mr. Ron Godfrey, joining me. Ron, are you ready?
I have no other choice but to be.
Well, I want to thank you so much for even taking your time out of your schedule to join me on today. And I have a couple of questions so that we can all get to know you
Okay.
as an actor and author and entrepreneur.
Well, it's
Okay?
great to be here. Thank you for having me.
All righty. So, the first question is going to be a two-part question. Okay?
Okay.
So, I did read your amazing book, Crying Out in the Dark. Had some very shocking things in there. Made me laugh, made me cry a little bit, and it was very good. So my question is, who or what inspired you to write your book, and how did you come up with the title?
Um, I can't say that anyone actually inspired me, but what inspired me was I started finding out that there was a lot of men that were going through depression. So I wanted to share my story as a icebreaker so that other men would feel open or more open to share their story or to, talk about what they're going through. So that's when I started writing. It took me about 6 years because I started writing and then I stopped for about 2.5 years, and then I picked it back up and finished it.
Okay, so when you started writing your book, and you say you wanted other men to be able to relate to you, at any point did you feel any hesitation about writing because of receiving backlash or anything?
I can't say that I was hesitant. I thought about it, but then I said, hey, this is my truth and it's going to help somebody. And it published in 2020. And here we are, 2023, and it's still holding at a 4.7.
Hey,
And
that's
I've gotten
amazing.
nothing but, good feedback. So, yeah, I'm good.
I think that's amazing. And speaking of depression, do you think if people focus more on giving gratitude to the things that they have versus their problems, do you think that they would be more happier?
Um, I think it would. And a lot of people that are depressed, you have to understand that, first of all, they want to be heard. They want to be understood. They want to know that, you know, their feelings and their thoughts mean something to somebody. They don't want to just feel empty or, they don't want to feel like they don't count. They always want to feel that they mean something to somebody. They want to know that people love them and care for them, genuinely.
And what are some ways that people can interact with others to let them know that they care and that they're actually listening to what they're saying and their feelings are being considered?
Well, it's different things. Sometimes a simple hello, letting that person know that, hey, I'm here for you whenever you're ready to talk about whatever's going on with you. Hey, we talk and it's confidential. And that's the thing. They want to know that the stuff that they share is not going to spread, because if it does, it could really turn out pretty bad.
And how does a person know that they're battling with depression? Because the reason I asked is because I was looking at an interview where this guy was saying he was always sad and he just didn't know why, and he never smiled. But, people would talk to him about never smiling, but he never thought anything about it until he went out and, sought help or whatever, and they told him that it was depression. So in what way do you think a person would know?
Well, not everybody know that they're depressed. They show signs, but like me, I didn't know that I was depressed, um, because I was just going on every day, with everyday life, and then but I noticed that, there were some times where I would isolate myself, and that's what a lot of depressed people do. They isolate themselves, or they pick up a habit that that makes them, that's their comfort zone. That habit is their comfort zone. And then sometimes they go to a doctor, and that's when they find out, hey, you're severely depressed, and we need to do something about it.
That's true. Seeking help is definitely important. And how do you think a person can meet a problem with prayer?
Meet a problem with prayer. You have to know that, not just know, but you have to know and believe that whatever problem you bring to God, He can and will fix it. And, that's where a lot of people, I think, fall short, because they try to um, handle the situation by themselves and it's hard. And I'm speaking from experience. It's hard. Sometimes not even what another individual says will, make a difference. You just have to isolate yourself and go to God in prayer and cry out and just really, cry out from your heart and just know that he's listening and know that he cares and know that he can make a difference.
That is true. You definitely got to keep God first and definitely pray and keep the faith. Don't lose faith in
Exactly.
the middle of your storm.
Exactly.
So I totally agree. And also, Ron, how can men give themselves self love in what way versus always seeking? How can they give themselves self love?
Well, with me, I speak for me. I had to, at some point, tell myself I'm enough. I had to start speaking to myself. I had to speak over myself. You know, for a long time, I sought out validation from others. But as I, got older and matured, and I started seeing things happen without the validation, I said, okay, I can do this. I got this. And then I started looking myself in the mirror and say, hey, you look good, you handsome, you got this. You know, go out there, get on your grind and conquer your goals.
That's right.
There you
Grind and conquer. That's your brand. That is a valid point.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the midst of social media, we're in the world of social media now.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, we're looking and everyone is living their best life out on social media. So, a lot of times that can put a person into depression because they feel like they're not moving as fast as someone else is moving. So, how do you handle not getting caught up in the social media world versus your real world?
Well, first of all, I stay busy a lot, so I don't have a whole lot of time, to even be on social media. And then a lot of my posts and everything like that, I have my manager will post different things, and I have a little show that I do, to interact with people, and it's going well. And so, I just every now and then I'll find a quote or whatever and I'll post it and everything. So I try not to get so caught up. At one time I found myself always, scrolling and everything, but and you can get caught up in it, really quick,
Yes, it
so
doesn't take long.
it doesn't, but you have to discipline yourself. Got to discipline yourself and, stay focused on your grind, stay focused on your goals and make that priority.
So, some of the younger people in the world that are actually looking at social media, what are some words of encouragement that you can give them that are actually getting caught up in it and they don't actually, have a busy schedule as someone such as yourself?
Stay focused on your education. you know, Instead of, scrolling through the pages of social media, scroll through the pages of a book. Reading is fundamental, you know, but and they're going to do it. I can't sit here and say don't do it. That's not being realistic. But if you have to do it, set a time. Get on some type of time schedule. Okay, I'm going to spend this much time on it. But you have to stay focused because a lot of our young people are getting lost and caught up in it, and some of the turnout is not all that well all the time. So yeah, I would really tell them to say, stay focused. Minimize your time on the social media. Stay focused on your education and move forward.
I totally agree. That's a valid point. Thank you.
Yeah.
So now we're going to shift gears a little bit.
Okay, we're gonna shift the gears.
Okay, so now I'm ready to go to Crying Out in the Dark.
Ooh,
Very
Crying Out
good
in the
book.
Dark. Okay.
Hit on some relationships. So tell me, what are some ways that people can be supportive of their mates in relationships?
Wow, it's so much that can happen right there. How can mates be supportive? Just be supportive. You know, know what your mate, first of all, is doing, and then ask questions. Say, hey, how can I be supportive to you? How can I be more supportive? What can I do if anything? Because sometimes there's really not much you can do but say, hey, babe, I got you. You're right. I'm right there with you. If it's a thing where they have a some type of networking event, show up with them. If you can. But always be there to give that encouragement because if no one else is there to support you, you want your mate there.
That's true. Okay. And something else that stood out in the book to me, and
Okay.
I think you did a hot topic on this as well,
Okay.
but without giving away too many details
What's a
of
hot
that book.
topic?
One of the hot topics, it was really about parents and everything.
Is that
So
my show you talking about?
yes, that's your
Is
show
that
that I'm talking about. Yes, he has a show that comes on Mondays. It is called Hot Topics. Normally it's between 7:30 and 8 when he comes on. Normally lasts about an hour or so, but it is very good. So tune in if you haven't done so already.
every Monday?
Every Monday. So, question about parenting.
Okay.
In what ways, like, how can someone handle it if their parent is actually jealous of their position or status in their career?
Ooh, you did get that from a hot topic. Um, well, first of all, let me say that I feel like it's very unfortunate that you have parents that may be jealous of their children, and honestly, it could be vice versa. You know, I think that's where reassurance comes in at. You know, and say like if I had a parent that was jealous of me, I would say, hey, this is what you taught me to do. This is how you taught me to be. You taught me to be a go-getter. You taught me to, go above and beyond the call of duty. So I'm just doing what you taught me, and whatever I gain from this, hey, you can pat yourself on the back because you had a lot to do with it, with the encouragement that you gave.
It is true. That's a
Yeah.
good way to put it. Hey,
Hmm.
you instilled this into me. So
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
be supportive of me.
Exactly.
I got
Exactly.
it. It makes sense. And also in the book, it's just so many different things that actually stood out. So
She's
many
giving
things. I
too much information, ladies and gentlemen.
okay, I won't give too many details. But what is a nugget that you can give us from your book?
That wasn't your initial question, was it? What were you going to ask me? I might answer it. What were you going to ask me about the book?
No, that's it. Yeah,
Oh, what nugget can I give?
yeah. What nugget can you give from your book that
Ah,
we can live by and apply to our day-to-day life?
just honestly, just be encouraging. Be encouraging. I will give this part of the book. I wrote about a man. Um, he was on the Golden Gate Bridge in California, and all he wanted somebody to do was to just smile at him and speak to him. And he wrote a note. He said, if someone just stop and smile at me, I won't jump. Nobody smiled. So the point is, it doesn't take a whole conversation. Sometimes a simple hello or how you doing, just to show courtesy and care. And it doesn't take much, and it doesn't cost you anything. Kindness doesn't cost you anything.
That's right. And a hello only costs you a second, right?
That's it. It's nice to be nice.
That's true.
There
Okay,
you
and
go.
shifting gears to your acting career, let's go down this road.
Okay.
What makes you such an amazing actor?
Wow. Wow. First of all, thank you for the compliment. eh, dedication. Dedication. I've now been acting for 10 years. I started in theater, and I actually started not knowing which way to go. I had no direction. I stepped out on faith, stepped out on my own, and I showed up to an audition, not knowing what was going to happen. And I was first told, "Hey, we'll call you." And then just before I walked out the building, I was told that you got the part, and it just went from there. And here I am 10 years later. Not only am I still doing theater here and there, but I'm TV and film. And so it's just my dedication, my consistency, my commitment. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, walk me through Fatal Attraction because in my younger years, I used to be kind of afraid to watch shows like that.
Okay.
But now they're like so interesting. Like, well, how do they know that this is what happened? Or how does it feel to reenact a scene, a crime scene at that?
Mm.
What are your thoughts going into that role?
Um, so I've done 2 episodes of Fatal Attraction, 2 different seasons, and everything like that. Just first of all, knowing these stories are true, or based on actual events, and almost being a part of it somewhat, so indirectly. it's you have to, whether it's a reenactment or whether we're on set, putting together a full feature. You just have to get into character. You have to put yourself in that moment. You have to become that character and everything like that. And in both episodes, I played a detective. One episode I played lead detective. The other one I played secondary, but I was still very involved. And not much dialogue, but you still have to play that part. You still have to be that detective. You have to be that hard-nosed detective or that soft-spoken detective, whatever.
Right.
So yeah.
So going through the scenes, did you get emotional at all?
No, I didn't. I didn't get too emotional, but it makes you scratch your head like, wow, this really happened.
Right.
Like I did one episode. I think it's season 12, episode 22 of Fatal Attraction, where a young lady, was killed and put into the tub and everything like that. I'm like, wow, this guy actually did this to this girl. It's crazy. How these things actually happen, and we're there reenacting that. But it's just like filming a movie of actual events. When you see on the screen where it says based on actual events or based on a true story.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
pretty much the same.
Very interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Hmm.
And so, being a famous actor, do you ever get starstruck when you see other actors or actresses?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And then the first thing I say, hey, I want to be on the set with them. Like I really want to be on the set with Samuel L. Jackson. I've been told a lot that you favor a younger version of Samuel L.
I
Jackson.
agree. You do. I agree.
So, it is my goal to one day be on a set in a feature film, in a supporting role, or perhaps in even a lead role or co-lead with Samuel L. Jackson or Forrest Whitaker. Those are two of my favorite actors, and of course, along with Denzel and Viola Davis and different ones. But it's just being dedicated and consistent. Denzel said it best. He said, "Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish."
Amen.
So I live by that.
Spoke a word then. Thank you. That was a good nugget.
Okay.
And with faith and with your dedication, I think it will happen.
Oh,
For you.
you gotta keep God
Mhm.
at the front.
Yeah.
Gotta keep God at the front.
Amen. Because what you said in your post, as long as you sit still, He's gonna move for you,
Come on.
and He is a sudden God as well. So we know that. And how do you keep balance in your life, being that you are so busy? I mean, you're a man that wear many hats. So how do you stay keep a steady foundation?
It's hard. It's hard, but you just have to um, compartmentalize, if I'm saying that correctly. You got to put things in its place, prioritize, and you have to just make time for what's important, and everything is important, but you just have to put it in its place, and give a substantial amount of time to that or to that person, to those people, and or to whatever project you're working. So it's you find a way.
Right.
It's not easy at first,
Right.
but as time go on, you find a way.
That's right. I agree. So last but not least, I do want to shift gears a little bit if you don't
We
mind.
shifting gears again.
Yeah, we
Are
always
we are
shifting
we in
gears
fifth
around
gear?
here.
Are we in fifth gear yet?
Look, we're moving along.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
moving.
moving along.
Okay.
So I do want to ask you about the Jeremiah L. Godfrey Brain Cancer
Yes.
Foundation.
Yes.
We want to know, how did it come about? We want to know the story behind it and everything. And yeah, do you mind sharing?
I don't mind
Because I
sharing.
do believe that yeah, sharing brings
Yeah.
about healing.
Yeah. Um, my son, Jeremiah Godfrey, he passed away almost a year ago. Matter of fact, November 1st would be a year that I lost him, or should I say that we lost him. And while we're on the air, I'd like to also recognize his mother, Shiloh. Um, she deserves all the accolades in the world because she was, right there, doing what a mom's supposed to do. So I have to give her that credit. But he had a rare tumor called DIPG, and it's diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma. Again, it's a rare tumor, and when I did my research, I found that there were 300 to 400 children each year that were diagnosed with this tumor. To date, there is no cure and it's inoperable. It grows in on the brainstem, already malignant. So I hate to say it this way, but when it forms, it's already a death sentence. Because in my research, I found that the lifespan after diagnosis is 6 to 11 months. My son was diagnosed in January of last year and passed away in November. 11 months, you know. But he was resilient. He if he wanted to go to Dave and Buster's or something like that, I was like, okay. I never, made him feel that he couldn't do, even though he got to the point where he couldn't really walk without assistance, had to be put in a wheelchair. Um, his speech left. But until they started giving him different types of steroid, that helped him walk better, helped his speech come back, somewhat. And so after he passed away again on November the 1st. A few days before that, should I say, let me back up. A few days before that, I was awarded an award at the Black I Am Awards here in Atlanta. And I was awarded with the Actor of the Year. And on my plaque, underneath my name, they were nice enough to put the Jeremiah Godfrey Legacy Award.
That was nice.
So I got back to South Carolina. That's where he lived. And showed him the award. And he touched it and everything. And a couple of days later, God took him. And from that point, I wanted to do something to, memorialize him. And that's when I came up with the idea of the Jeremiah L. Godfrey Brain Cancer Research Foundation. Because, again, to date, there's no cure. And it's inoperable. Where it grows in, it can't operate. He went through 30 treatments of radiation, and it just shrunk it down to maybe half the size. But after about 3 or 4 months, it showed progression again until it was nothing they can do. So the foundation is set up to aid researchers in finding the cure, and it's also set up to help families that have children with this same tumor, because some of the medicine that was required, insurances didn't cover. So we want to help aid some families that have, children with this tumor, so that they, hopefully they can live, longer lives and longer productive lives in memory of my son.
That's a very, well, first and foremost, my condolences to you for losing
Thank
your
you.
son. Can't even imagine what you're going through, and you're still, standing here strong. So
Yeah.
I pray that God continue to help you to get through it.
Thank you.
But I have a thank you for saying what you said about his mother,
Yes.
because oftentimes the mother gets overlooked with
Mhm.
her duties when it comes to children,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that you acknowledge the things that she had to do to even care for your son,
Mm-hmm.
then with the condition that he was in. So yeah, that was amazing.
Listen, I can't go on any interview and talk about my son without talking about her,
That's right.
because without her, he wouldn't be here.
That's
He
right.
wouldn't have been here. So I have to give her flowers,
That's right.
because she was there on the forefront,
Mm-hmm.
24/7, you know, and I have nothing but the highest regard for her.
Right.
Hmm.
That's true. Well, that's good. And thank you again for sharing your story as far as little Jeremiah.
Of
It's
course.
very touching. What are some things that you do on a day-to-day basis to get through, and what are some things that you can tell another parent that has lost a child to help them to get through?
Um, I do my best to remember all of the good times. And there were a lot of good times even after he was diagnosed, because he still smiled. He was still a little kid. He was just limited because of his condition. But I didn't let him know, or his mom didn't let him know, hey, you can't do this. You can still do this. If this is what you want to do, we're gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So I would say to remain encouraging to your child. Remain encouraging to them. Let them know, hey, you love them, and you're gonna get through this. even if in the back of your mind you remember the doctor saying he only has this or she only has this amount of time to live, you know, um, that was one of the hardest things for me, is to know that my child was getting ready to leave me in a certain amount of time, but you never let that on to him or to her. You just keep encouraging, even if you're dying inside. You got to stay up to to remain encouraging. And then when you want to cry, you have to go somewhere far away, like in the other room, or go outside and just release, because you have to release that in order to be strong for the child.
Right, that's
Hmm.
true. And if anyone wanted to donate to the foundation, how can they donate?
You can log on to www.jlgresearchfoundation.org, and it'll give you all the information about my son, about the foundation, and there's a button that says donate. You just press that button and give whatever your heart desires.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, sharing that information.
You're welcome.
And what about Grind and Conquer? Let's talk about how Grind and Conquer came about. Tell me about Grind and Conquer.
I
I
was
need to
I
get on
was
this train.
I was wait. Yes, you do. I was waiting for Grind and Conquer. Grind and Conquer. Well, I'm gonna try to keep it short as possible, but I need to tell you about it so you can have the full effect. Um, I was actually in the gym working out, some about 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta grind this out. I gotta grind this out. I gotta conquer this. And then I'm in my exercise, and I say, wait a minute, grind and conquer, and I just kept repeating it. And so, at first, I thought about it from the standpoint of, exercising and, getting your body right. But as time went on, I said, wait a minute, grind and conquer can speak to everyday life, because we're all on a grind,
Yes, we are.
striving to conquer whatever goals we have set for ourselves, And so then a very good friend of mine, he's actually my best friend, Mr. Cecil Henry. I'm sure he won't mind me calling his name on the show. Um, he shared with me about eagles,
Mhm.
and I was like, wow, So I went and looked it up myself, and I found that eagles don't fly with any other bird.
That's right.
They either fly alone or they fly with other eagles.
Mhm.
When a storm hits, when other birds are seeking shelter, the eagle is able to fly above that storm cloud and able to keep going. So I was like, wow. So that speaks to everyday life. When the storms of life begin to rage, spread your wings like an eagle
Come on now.
and fly and fly above the storm. So that's why my logo has two eagles on the side. You have an eagle for grind and an eagle for conquer.
Mhm.
Spread your wings and just fly.
I like that. I think you just sold me on that one. I need to join the Grind and Conquer
That's
train.
right. You can look, go to my website rongodfrey.com. You can get the autographed copy of my book, and
That's right.
join the Grind and Conquer family. I have T-shirts. I have long sleeve T-shirts. I
Mhm.
have hoodies.
Okay.
I have tank tops
That's right.
for the whole family
That's right. In every season.
in every season, in every color.
That's right.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's
Okay.
Grind and Conquer.
Okay, so we've touched on crying out in the dark. We've touched on grind and conquer.
Hmm.
We have touched on the Jeremiah L. Godfrey Brain Cancer Foundation.
Hmm.
Is there any? And also, we did touch on your acting career as well, so we
Yes.
cannot leave that out.
Right.
Are you open to doing any impersonations today?
No.
Okay.
But I will go back, if you don't mind, and answer
Okay.
a question that you asked.
Okay.
You asked me, how did I come up with the title
Yes.
for the book,
Mhm.
Crying Out in the Dark? I came up with that because when I was going through my depression, I felt like no one heard me.
Mhm.
No matter what I did, no matter what I said, I felt like I wasn't being heard. And it was like being out on an island, completely dark, and I'm just crying out, hoping somebody would hear me, crying out in the dark.
A lot of times, I think people underestimate that men can go through depression, and sometimes men get underestimated as far as having feelings. I mean,
Right,
just keeping it real.
right,
Um,
right.
I think men get overlooked with a lot of things when it comes to emotions.
Hmm.
And so I can definitely understand you, you know, of being a man, being
Yeah.
able to, write a book, Crying Out in the Dark, because a lot of times you do get overlooked. So
People
it's
have to
understandable.
understand that men have feelings too. But at an early age, we're taught to suppress our feelings. Don't be crying. You got to be brave. Suck it up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not realizing the danger that's brewing on the other side of that. And because of that, that's where you get domestic violence. Ooh, that can open up a whole nother.
Yeah, that's opening a whole another can
You
of
know what I'm
worms,
saying?
because I mean it's true, because that rage got to come out somewhere, because
Exactly.
those emotions are just, they're balled up.
Exactly. So
Hmm.
people have to understand. Don't demasculate a man just because you see him crying.
Right.
Find out why. Ask questions. Hey man, what's going on? Just because I'm a man, I'm an alpha male, but I cry. It's okay. It doesn't make you less of a man just because you hurting or you need to cry. You know, if I may say, the shortest verse in the Bible says Jesus wept.
That was the first scripture I learned. My uncle taught me that one. God rest his soul.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, people have to understand that men hurt too. Men hurt too, and again, for so long we were under the stigma. We're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to show your emotions. Don't show your weakness in front, especially in front of women. And now you do have some women that will, put a man down if they see them crying or whatever, instead of finding out what's going on. If you say you love that man, find out what's going on. Show that love. And I guarantee you, if he feels secure enough in telling you, he will.
Because I've heard that it takes a lot for a man to open up and be vulnerable to women. Is that true?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we're scared of being, again, we're scared of being judged. We're scared of being, you know, uh, just, talked about or looked at in a certain area or a certain way, should I say. We're scared of being looked at as being weak, and we're not weak. We're just hurting
Right.
because we're under a lot of pressure day by day, just especially black men, just for being black. We're under a lot of pressure. We're held to a high standard.
Right.
So, if I'm married, or if you're married, if a man is married, he wants to, and he's under the pressure of his day-to-day walk. He wants to be able to come home and say, okay,
Right.
exhale. I'm in my comfort zone now. I'm home because I have a wife that loves me, understands me. My children understand me, the whole nine. Because out there, beyond the doors of your home, you under a lot of pressure. You're looked at, you're categorized, um, you just put under a microscope and everything. So we want to feel comfortable as well as women do.
You're on a microscope in the world, so when you get home, you don't want to be under, that same microscope. You want to be
Exactly.
able to just relax.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Honey, did you bring the milk home? No, I forgot.
Right.
And just leave it alone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Send Junior to the store.
Right.
he go into the store, boy.
Right. Just let you sit down.
Right, right.
Okay. And last question.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So you did hit on you being an alpha male. So that did open up a door for me. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I'm always looking at different things. So what separates an alpha male from a beta male? And how do you know that you're an alpha male?
Wow. I'm taking notes of these questions, right? I'm taking taking notes of this. Um, I wasn't always an alpha male. I became one.
Okay.
I became one after I got tired of being judged. I got tired of being looked at as weak.
Mm-hmm.
I said, wait a minute. No, I'm not. I used to hold a lot of things in.
Mm-hmm.
I used to hold in how I felt because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Mm.
And I don't set out to hurt feelings, but I was like, okay, you don't care about mine. Okay, now I'm getting ready to sound off now.
Right.
You're not gonna talk to me crazy and think I'm not gonna say anything.
Right.
You're not gonna come at me any kind of way. You're gonna speak to me as a man. You're gonna respect me as a human being, the whole nine, and I'm going to show that same respect. Now I'm at a point where I say what's on my mind. I say what I feel and how I feel it. And if I hurt your feelings, I'll say, hey, my intentions were not to hurt your feelings, but I have to tell you how I feel.
Right.
Not everybody's like that,
Mm-hmm.
but I became like that.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't born like that.
Right.
Yeah. But
Okay.
now, okay.
And what about beta males? Because to me, it's not necessarily that a beta male is a weak male. It's just, to me, they're just,
More reserved.
yeah, more reserved.
Yeah, and that's
Mm-hmm.
and that's the difference. Beta male is a little bit more reserved. He may have a more intellectual way of getting out what he wants to say, as in whereas an alpha male, he like, whoa, wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
you wake up that lion, he gonna roar.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Right, I got you.
yeah. So,
Well, Ron, I do want to thank you so much for joining me on a date with Ashley D. It has been a pleasure to talk to you today.
it's been great. It's been
Anything
great.
else that you want to share?
Well, I just want to share with the people of how you can get in contact with me, how you can follow me. You can follow me on all of my platforms at I am Ron Godfrey. I keep it simple. I am Ron Godfrey on all social media.
And you can find me on all platforms. Well, Instagram is Ashley Davis _ speaks. Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok is Ashley D Speaks. So thank you all so much for joining me on a date with Ashley D. Today was my first live interview on social media. So thanks so much for joining me. It was a pleasure. And just leaving you out with a thought. Anyone that is actually grieving, be patient with the person. Never tell someone that it's time for them to move past their grieving point. I always just give them words of encouragement, let them know that they're actually going to get through it. And yeah, just tell them to stay encouraged, but never rush someone's grieving process, because a lot of times when people are actually crying, that's their way of, showing their love for a person, and also, showing the pain that they're actually feeling in that moment, of thinking about their loved one. So it doesn't take a day to fall in love with someone. So, of course, losing someone is going to take even longer to get, past that hurt. So, you all have a great weekend. Be safe out there. And again, thanks so much for joining me on a date with Ashley D. Bye bye.